Everybody, so this is Robert. I'm in front of my wife's 2016 ACURA MDX because it's time for an oil change for her. So the little light turned on. So what I'm doing is just trying to show DIY for any noobs or someone that hasn't been working on the oil change before what you guys need. So one thing you always want to get is cardboard, because you're always going to spill your oil no matter what. It's always a messy job. So besides doing that, you want oil pan to collect oil funnels to both pour it into the engine and also to pour that into the container for recycling. Always recycle, by the way. Oil. So the oil they suggest you get is 0W20. You can see here it's for Honda. You want 6 quarts. I happen to have more because it says for Honda and Toyota, and I happen to have a Toyota truck. Uses the same exact oil. You want some kind of rags or paper towels, which I have here. Gloves. You always want gloves because it's hard to work when you work with oil. It starts getting slick. You need a 17mm wrench of some sort, or a socket wrench or something, so that way you can take out the oil pan bolt. You need some kind of oil wrench oil filter wrench, I should say. So it's either rubber. I'm using actually a pipe wrench because I don't care what happens to my existing oil filter because it's going to come out. But I can use this to tighten it. Oil filter, of course. Always get genuine Honda filters. They're not that much more. They're obviously made by somebody else. You know, Honda doesn't make them, but they're Honda spec, so they're gonna have the best quality. It's not that expensive of an item to not spend a few bucks to get it. I mean, this is I think $8-9 if I remember right. I'll put on my Amazon link to confirm because I bought a bunch of these at one shot. That's why I can't remember how much. But definitely get a Honda one. If you get ACURA, it's obviously the same thing. I'll just say ACURA, I believe is black. If you get it, it's made by Honda, same thing. And you can get it either Orium aftermarket washer for the drain plug. So you always want to replace that because those are usually one use and you don't want an oil leak. So those are all the things that you need to have. Another option you can do, I can work on it. SUV, it's tall enough for me to reach it at stock height, but if you want, you can put it on ramps. Another thing what I do is I turn the wheel towards the right, and the reason why is because I can access that filter right there. You can see it right there. So everything is accessible if you reach it. So if you've never worked on an oil change, done an oil change on one of these cars or at all, you want to open the hood, obviously. So the hood pop is right here by the kick panel on the driver's side. Yank that. Hood lock, hood switch or locking pins right here. Yank it up. You can see it right there. Alright, so I'm under the car. I got my trusty oil pan, and if you look from the front, you see the exhaust. You generally don't want to have a hot car. You want to have your car kind of cool. Some people say start it up for a minute or two so that way the oil is warm and a little bit more viscose. I can agree to an extent, but just remember because of that everything gets hot. So don't touch this if you can avoid it. The car's cool on my car. I barely moved it. But this is the oil pan, and it's hard to see. But up in this corner, right there, where my finger is at, it's the oil pan bolt towards the rear. So a lot of times people want to use a ramp so that way they can see that. But I want to back it up, and you'll be able to see where I'm recording and doing it. But you can see where the exhaust is. So where it becomes a Y, and this is oil pan, it's right there, and that's why you need some kind of 17mm wrench. Sometimes it gets a little tight. You might have to whack it with some kind of mallet or hammer just to jolt it. But again, it's 17mm. So now what I usually do is I'll get the oil pan underneath first. I'll tighten it. There we go. All right, so I am under the passenger fender area, and as you can see there's the oil filter right there. Let's see if I can get my finger up there. I got the tire on and everything, so it's kind of tight, but I'm pointing at that blue thing right there. Let's go that way, right there. So like I said, I'm using a pipe wrench because I'm just taking it off. I don't care how pretty it is. Hear the oil, see the oil dripping. Can't do anything about that. Just twist it till you get it out. And that's another reason why you wear gloves, because your fingers, you just start to lose the grip for this oil. So again, you got the oil pan bolt, the new gasket. Doesn't matter what side it goes on. It's basically a crush washer, so that way it'll seal it. Again, always use everything by hand. Never use a tool, so that you feel that the threads are going in properly. You never want to cross thread. If you cross thread, you're gonna be hitting knife the next time you change the oil. So feel where it goes. Back again, I always recommend Honda oil filters. I will put a description of the part number on it. This one's a little bit smaller because I used to have a Honda S2000, and the advantage of being a slightly smaller filter is to have more oil pressure. So, I mean, for a high performance car, it was actually a good idea to have that for higher oil pressure for higher performance. So when you make your turns, etc., especially being VTEC, you know, you wouldn't have any lack of oil. The MDX is not a performance vehicle. It does have VTEC, I believe, or iVTEC, a version of VTEC, but it's not a performance car. Full synthetics usually last 10 to 15,000 miles. So that's why if you look at Mercedes or something, some of their oil change intervals are 15,000 miles. BMW, I believe, is 10 or 12,000 miles. So what we usually want to do, especially since it's easier with this oil filter, the housing's already, or oil filter installs in this manner anyways. It's suggested to go ahead and put some oil in here, not maybe halfway through. And the reason being is that when you start up the car with a fresh oil change, the filter is usually empty. So the argument is that if you have an empty oil filter, the oil is going to start to circulate, and there's that slight gap in lack of oil that could cause engine damage. Again, that's an argument. I mean, you can do it, you don't have to do it, but a lot of people do it. Another thing you want to do, this is for sure, no argument, no one argues against this, is get some of this oil, either new or used, doesn't matter, put it around the gasket, the rubber gasket. And the reason why is because that way it creates a tight seal once you install this filter. Again, having leaks is a bad thing. So again, always feel it by hand. You always want to make sure you don't strip anything. If you strip anything, you will have a bad day. Maybe not this time, but when you come back at it, the next visit, you will have a bad day. Even though you shouldn't, but I am, because this is easier. But you can use that rubber wrench, an actual oil filter wrench Honda sells. Is another thing. So it's on pretty snug, and that's all you gotta do. All right, everything's tightened up on the bottom. Oil pan bolt is tightened. With the gasket, oil filter is tightened, so those things are all done. So the only things you gotta do is now put the oil in the car. Well, one of the things. So right here, this is the oil dipstick. We'll be checking right down here. I should bring it down here so you can see. So right there, so again, oil dipstick. And right there is the oil fill cap. Engine oil fill cap. Lefty loosey again. Put it there, it's not going to go anymore. You want something long, you can get in there, drop in there like I said. You're not going to be able to pour it by hand. You might be able to, it's really good. Estimated amount of oil this uses, or estimated spec, is 6 quarts. I have this 5 quart. I have this 5 quart bottle from my other car, from my other truck. It's the same oil Sorita. They like the 0W20 Mobile 1. I have approximately 1, 2, 4 quarts in here. So since it's 6 quarts, I already know I could use this whole bottle. So we'll pour it nice and neat. Make sure you don't push it too fast down the oil funnel. This one's a smaller funnel, so the hole is going to be kind of filling quick. So you just want to fill it, watch the levels. Pour it nice and slow, nice and neat. You don't want to pour oil all over the place. That's not a lot of work. Another reason why you want to start the engine is not just to check your oil levels, but it's also to check for leaks. Because when you start your engine, you have oil pressure, and oil pressure is going to push to the or leak out the least, if there's a leak, the weakest link, which would be the oil filter gasket or the oil bowl gasket. The minimal level will always be towards the bottom. It'll be like this, flip it like that, and the top is here. You never want it to be below, underfilled. You never want it to be above. Overfilled is actually bad as well, because it won't be able to circulate properly and you could have engine failure. So now I'm just going to check it cold. Make sure you insert it all the way in until it stops. Give this a couple seconds, yank it out, and check it. You can see, oh, let me move it. You can see that it is a little bit above the minimal. So we are safe if we want to start it up and add oil afterwards. So we are actually still good. Let's see if I can get my focus. It's kind of hard because sometimes the oil will rub above here because it's just going down that tubing. There we go. But you can see the colored oil. It's still within the hatch, the crosshatch area. So if I wanted to, I could add a tad more oil. You can see that it's not as brown or thick here. So the last thing you have to do, unless you want that maintenance due soon, light on forever, is to reset it. Use your wheel here, and you're gonna push it down. Vehicle settings. Let's find the door open because my door is open. Vehicle settings. Maintenance info. Maintenance reset. I'll just cancel and reset. I want reset. It says oil life is 10%, but I'm just going to reset it. Reset complete. Exit. When the doors close, it won't be that screen. And oil life is back to 100%. So again, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, please like, please post any comments or questions that you have. I'd be happy to answer it. Don't do as much ACURA stuff, quite honestly, but I do car stuff. So if you're a car guy and you know your wife's got a Honda, got a Toyota, got a whatever, or you got a Toyota or BMW, you know, whatever, I'm a car guy.